The straw hat smells of another man's sweat. Robert Smalls, enslaved ship's pilot, Charleston Harbor, May 1862, puts it on anyway. The only thing standing between 16 hidden people and execution is whether the Confederate guards at Fort Sumter recognize the face beneath this hat as the wrong one. Remember that image. Hold that image. It is the whole story in one moment. First, Columbia, South Carolina, November 1895. A 56-year-old man stands in a legislative chamber. He has served 5 terms in the United States Congress. He has piloted a ship through artillery fire and locked the wheelhouse door from inside so no one could make him turn back. He has purchased the house where he was enslaved. He asks for the floor. They give it to him. By the time the vote is counted, everything he built will be gone. And within a generation, most of America will not know his name. His name is Robert Smalls. And by the time this episode is over, you will understand exactly who put him there, exactly how they erased him, and exactly why the history books left the room before they took the vote. He was an enslaved ship's pilot, and it is the last ordinary thing about him. Beaufort, South Carolina, 1839. Robert Smalls is born into enslavement on a rice plantation. His enslaver is Henry McKee of Prince Street, Beaufort. The house is white, 2 stories, close to the waterfront. Smalls grows up in it, not as a resident, as property. His enslaver hires him out to work in Charleston. The enslaved person works, the wage goes to the enslaver. He learns every crate, every channel, every guard rotation on the Charleston docks. He learns the harbor, the channels, the currents, the checkpoint sequences, the signal flags. He is good enough that the Confederate Navy notices and makes a decision they will regret, assigning him to the CESSS Planter, a 300-ton armed dispatch and transport steamer, one of the most strategically important vessels in Charleston Harbor. You could smell that ship before you saw it. Coal smoke, engine grease, the particular heaviness of a vessel that never fully cooled between runs. He is not the captain, he is the pilot. The captain is a white officer who goes ashore every night. Smalls spends months memorizing what he is not supposed to know. The Confederate Navy's signal codes, the sequence of checkpoints, the captain's visual identifiers, the straw hat, the coat, the precise angle of a man who owns the wheel, the positions of Fort Sumter, Castle Pinckney, Fort Johnson, the location of the code books and the artillery manifest below deck. He is 23 years old. He has a plan. And here is what no one on shore suspects. Every night that Captain leaves, Smalls is not just watching, he is rehearsing. May 13th, 1862, 3 a.m. The captain is ashore. The white officers are ashore. Smalls moves. He loads his wife Hannah, their 2 children, and 12 other enslaved crew members and their families into the hold. 16 people hidden below deck. Discovery means execution for all of them. He puts on the captain's straw hat. He takes the wheel. The CESSS Planter moves through the dark water of Charleston Harbor. Ahead, 5 Confederate checkpoints, Fort Sumter. The guns that would tear the ship apart if a single guard recognizes the wrong face beneath this hat, or the wrong sequence at the wrong moment. At each checkpoint, Smalls gives the correct signal, the correct flag sequence, the correct steam whistle code. He holds his posture. He keeps the speed even. Fort Sumter, the most heavily armed Confederate fortification in the harbor. He gives the signal. Fort Sumter waves him through. On the other side of Fort Sumter, the Union Navy blockade squadron is waiting in the dark. Smalls sails toward it. He strikes the Confederate flag and raises a white bedsheet. Lincoln's Secretary of the Navy, J.I.D.A. Wells, will later record the intelligence hall, the code books, the signal sequences, the artillery manifest, as of inestimable value. Congress legislates a prize law bill, and Smalls, enslaved 3 months earlier, becomes the named recipient. For the first time in his life, Robert Smalls is paid for his own labor. 16 people are free. But this is not the climax of this story. This is the inciting incident. The question this episode is built around is not the theft. You have just seen it. The question is what happened after, and who decided that a man who did all of this should disappear from American memory. What does a country do with a man it cannot explain? You are about to find out. He does not stop at freedom. The Union Navy gives him a rank, and he earns a higher one. He fights, and one battle in particular is worth knowing, because almost no account of his life tells it. April 1863, Folly Island Creek. The CESS Planter, now under Union command with Smalls as its pilot, comes under Confederate artillery fire. The fire is heavy. The crew wants to pull back. The acting captain begins to retreat. Smalls goes into the wheelhouse. He locks the door from inside. He can hear the rounds landing in the water. He holds course. He keeps the ship moving forward through the fire. The ship survives. The crew survives. And Union officers put it in writing. A formal commendation. Smalls is subsequently commissioned as a captain in the United States Navy, among the first black men to hold that rank in American history. It is in the record. And it has been sitting there, unreported, for 160 years. You are hearing it now, because you will need it when we reach what they voted to take away. 4 years after he stole a ship, the war is over. Smalls knows exactly where he is going. He goes back to Prince Street. And this is where the story becomes something history tried very hard to lose. He buys the house, the McKee house, white, 2 stories, close enough to the waterfront that you can smell the harbor from the front door. The building where he was enslaved. He buys it with his congressional salary, because by 1875, Robert Smalls is a member of the United States House of Representatives. He will serve 5 terms, and one of the things he does with that salary is purchase the legal ownership of the building where he was property. His former enslaver's widow, Jane McKee, becomes destitute after the war. She has nowhere to go. Smalls lets her stay in the house. He does not take the house from her. He does not turn her out. He is the legal owner of the building where he was enslaved, and the widow of his enslaver is living in it under his permission. Think about what that means. The deed in his name. The woman who once held authority over his life, now dependent on his. It is recorded in Fort County. The deed, the name, the date. This detail does not appear in school curricula, and it matters, because the man who could have turned her into the street chose not to, and that choice is part of what this convention in 1895 was designed to make history forget. Now we reach 1895, and here is where every other Robert Smalls documentary stops paying attention. South Carolina holds a constitutional convention. It is not a secret why. The stated purpose, documented in the convention record, is to remove black men from the voter rolls. The Redeemer Democrats, the political coalition that has been systematically dismantling Reconstruction, have controlled the state for years. They have a supermajority at this convention. Every black elected official in South Carolina knows what this vote means. Robert Smalls is the only black delegate. He asks for the floor. They give it to him. He speaks. The press is there, taking notes. Then they vote. The new constitution removes black men from the voter rolls through literacy tests and poll taxes calibrated specifically to exclude the black population. Smalls's congressional constituency, the black voters of Fort County, who elected him 5 times, is legally disenfranchised. His political career does not end with an election loss. It ends with a vote in a room he was allowed to speak in and not allowed to stop. Within a decade, every black congressman from South Carolina is gone. Within a generation, the documented record of their existence has been reduced to footnotes, if it appears at all. The 1895 Constitutional Convention is the mechanism. A room, a date, names in the record, a documented outcome, and a man who had survived Fort Sumter and Folly Island Creek and 30 years of American political life. Brought down not by a cannon, but by a quorum. After the vote, they leave Smalls one office, and he holds it, Collector of Customs for the Port of Beaufort, the one federal post the Redeemer Purge could not reach. He dies on February 23, 1915. In the same city he escaped in 1862, in the house on Prince Street he purchased with his own salary. He is buried at Tabernacle Baptist Church. In Beaufort, in the city he escaped, in the city he chose. The straw hat, the locked wheelhouse, the deed to the house, none of it was enough. In 2023, the United States Navy commissions a guided missile destroyer, one of the most powerful warships in the American fleet, and names it the USS Robert Smalls, a ship named for a man who stole a ship. He died 108 years before they named it after him. The gap between what Robert Smalls did and what most people at that commissioning ceremony could tell you about him, that gap is not a gap in the record. The record is intact. That gap is a gap in what was taught, and it was created in a room with a vote on a documented date in 1895. Robert Smalls, an enslaved ship's pilot, took the wheel at 3 a.m., sailed 16 people past Fort Sumter, locked himself in a wheelhouse under artillery fire, and served 5 terms in Congress. He stood alone in a room while they voted to erase everything he represented and went home to Beaufort, to the house where he had been enslaved, which he now owned. 108 years after he died, the United States Navy named a destroyer after him. He died 108 years before they did. Robert Smalls is only the beginning. Next, meet the deadliest female sniper in history, a woman the Soviet Union tried to bury for decades, and she is linked right there.